Welcome, everyone. ADW Profile Podcast. That's right. ADW Profile Podcast. ADW for
A deeper way.
I surprised you with that.
I was ready.
Okay.
Staring
Today,
right at you.
aspect
Yeah.
dive today, we are looking at seeks change. Seeks change. Tim, what do we need to know about seeks change?
Aspect 1.31 stands for the family that it belongs to. The first family, the openness to experience family, seeks change. Far to the right side seeks change. Far to the left side, again, not good or bad, but a lot of wonderful, helpful things out of either side. Far to the left side seeks routine. Seeks routine. We actually have a little bit of a clue about what this aspect is from the left side, routine. Right? And so seeks change is really about, when you're far to the right, is seeking out new experiences. Seeking out new experiences. It's part of, as I said, the openness family. The PsyPlex vector that it loads onto is enthusiasm drive. So it aligns with our motivations, right? What motivations do we have to do things, right? So seeks change aligns with high enthusiasm or inspiration, right? And the system strength of seeks change, love this one, adaptability. Adaptability.
Commonly used word, adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that brings us to, we better recognize what are the effective manifestations of the extremes of this particular aspect. So on the right side seeks change, on the left side seeks routine. What's helpful there?
Yeah. Well, on the right side seeks change. Again, this is seeking out new experiences, right? It's part of that openness family, but it's part, what am I open to is new experiences. Sometimes this is often referred to as adventurousness.
Sort of my high school English teacher, one of her favorite things to say is variety is the spice of life.
Yes.
Makes me think of that.
Yep. Folks high on seeks change, far to the right side, what that really helps folks do is mix things up, is try something new, right?
Yeah.
Right. And it's the psychological kind of capacity to shift from one experience to the next.
And I think it's so important to keep remembering what family it's part of, which is openness, right? So another way to think about it would be open to change, right?
Open to change, yeah.
You know, something unexpectedly comes up. Hey, that's
Yeah.
kind of exciting, perhaps.
Yes.
If that's where I would tend to, my pattern would sit on that side.
Right. Mm-hmm. So one of the words here is this idea of transitions.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm doing this, and then later I'm going to be doing something else. High seeks change. That transition point doesn't take much mental energy for them.
Right.
Right. And then, in fact, they actually kind of enjoy it. Right. That's how it hits on the motivation.
Shake things up a little bit.
Yeah. What about seeks routine?
I don't know. I can't think of anything. No, I'm just kidding. It's very important to poke fun at all of it.
Yes.
So you know, different, obviously, the other side here, seeks routine. This is someone who by default, again, just if your wonderful phrase, if you spin them up and let them go, they're going to stay on the tracks. They're going to want to know what's coming next and can we please do that, right? For them to kind of sort of feel like they're in their sweet spot, they probably know what's coming next. And they feel really good when they can check that off and know that that's coming.
Yeah.
It's that the word's right in there, that routine. right?
Yep. Yep.
Um,
And they thrive on it.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Really helpful. Again, we've talked about this around some of these openness ideas. Really helpful when we're executing, right?
Yeah.
Let's stick
Yep.
to our plan. Let's do what we're
Yep.
doing. This is what we're expecting. Um, so really, that execution side, a lot of value in those patterns of
Yeah.
sticking with
Yeah.
and looking for a routine.
Yeah. They don't likely get bored with the route,
Right.
right? It's not boring, right?
That's
They
a
actually
really good point.
find it really grounding.
Yeah.
And there's so many wonderful things. We need routines.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, in fact, we talk about this in Psychology at Work podcast. Our brains are more hardwired for a bit of routine more so than they are for lots of constant
Yeah.
change, right?
Yeah.
Even someone high on seeks change, their brain in the midst of change has to have a moment of, okay, let me recalibrate here. Let me,
Yep.
it
Yep.
takes energy.
Yep. Yep. It takes
So
energy no matter how you interpret it,
right.
whether you interpret that change as surprise, right?
Right.
Fun, or you interpret it as surprise, right? It's
Right.
still drawing down that psychological energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those reactions that you were just sharing there lead us to our reroute section, which would be, when might some of these default patterns maybe get in the way, maybe not be what the situation calls for.
Yeah.
Um, Starting on, as we do, the right side, uh, you know, folks who default strong to that side, they are kind of looking for switch things up, fairly regularly. Um, you know, Sometimes we need to stay the course.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
we need to get something done before we try something new. Not always.
Yep.
And so I think when we're thinking about these rerouting situations,
Right.
it's most typically going to be in the context of working with other people, right?
Exactly.
Because if you're just doing your own thing and it doesn't impact anyone else, well, fine. But if you're working on a team and the team is going in this direction, needs to execute this, and that high seeks change pattern is, well, I'm going to try this way. It might be a little disruptive.
I think often the question there is it change for change sake,
Right.
or is it change for a larger purpose?
Right.
Does this need to be changed? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think for the high seeks change folks, asking that question, what's the purpose of the change? What's the real
Absolutely.
purpose? And getting clear on that. And that's how you can reroute and join the Seeks routine folks, right? And actually working with them, they might have a little more access to some knowledge of whether this change is really needed or
How to
not,
answer that
right?
question. Yeah.
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 Yep. Do we need this?
Yep. Yeah. I think uh, I coach a lot of leaders who are high on seeks change. And one of the things that can happen is, they get excited about all kinds of new initiatives
Right.
that they're constantly throwing at their team. And one leader in particular just told me recently, she said, my team is safe to tell me when I'm
Yeah.
off the rails or we don't need to do this right now, which I know I'm getting a little off track here, but shows that she's provided a psychologically
Mm-hmm.
safe environment where
Mm-hmm.
they can do that.
Yeah. Makes me think of too, I think you and I together were having a conversation with one of our certified ADW profile ADW facilitators, and they were working with an organizational client rolling out a new initiative, and was
Right.
sharing with us that the folks they were rolling this initiative out to clearly were disengaged with it, right? And as our facilitator kind of dug into it more and got into, working with this organization, kind of looking at their history, they actually realized or recognized that, or discovered that the leadership was throwing so many new things at the wall that the people that were being trained on this were just said, well, in 2 weeks we're going to get another one
Exactly.
on a different project,
Exactly.
and in 2 more weeks we're going to have this. And so that can lead to this sort of paralysis or disengagement, right?
Yeah.
Because we know you're throwing another one at me. And I
Nothing's
think,
gonna stick.
and why that leads to a disengagement is because there's a disconnect with the real purpose.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? Right?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this?
Particularly in that situation.
Yeah. So again, the reroute for both is get really clear on the why.
Yeah.
Get really clear on the why and what it's going to do. And then find time, give enough time, really look at the runway. How much of a runway do we need?
Yeah. Well, and to touch on the Seek's routine side, right, where that can, at times get in the way is, of course, the opposite of the other side, which is sometimes this isn't working. And so we need to do it differently. We need to
Yeah.
change, right? It's the same question with
Yeah.
a different verb,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know if it's a verb or not, actually, but
We're not.
I think of the phrase, well, this is how we've always done it, right? That doesn't mean that's why we should keep doing it, right?
It's the other side of the change for change sake. It's
Right.
routine for routine's sake.
Right.
And sometimes getting stuck where we might be closed to a new way of trying something.
Yeah.
Because we're not naturally thinking about it, or maybe hanging on to that routine because it's what we know, because it's practical, it's here and now, it's right in the moment, it's physical, it's in front of us. We've gone through that experience, felt it, it's familiar.
Yeah,
And
it's
maybe
sort of
it's not working.
right. It's sort of like, I think of the idea, if we put change at the center of that aspect, change / routine. I mean, they're one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
And to say to each side, so to say to the routine folks, change doesn't have to be scary and bad. And to say to the change folks, routine doesn't have to be scary and bad, right? Because that's
Or
that's
boring.
the story, right? That's the story we can
Yeah.
tell ourselves
Oh,
if we're
very
just
good.
sitting in those patterns.
Yeah.
And not realizing, okay, it's not necessarily about that, right? But to get to that purpose thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Seeks change 1.3, openness, enthusiasm, drive, adaptability, all the things. We'll continue our journey in the next episode. But in the meantime, get that self-awareness.
Be curious.